Okay, hello everybody, holding the pen. Hello everybody, welcome to CM42 TV. This is going to be my WrestleMania 34 video, and I'm not sure how I want to do this because I'm a little bit late to the party, and I'll tell you why. I literally about an hour ago finished recording episode 38 of the Good Bit podcast, a brand new episode of the Good Bit, all about WrestleMania. So, you know, that's going to be a full length podcast about WrestleMania, so don't know how much I want to go into it now. I'm kind of all wrestled out, I'm not going to lie. It's been a long weekend, but that podcast is going to go up on Friday, because all the new good bits go out on Fridays. I don't know why, they just do, and it's just easier for me to keep track of everything if that's the case. So it's going out Friday afternoon, WrestleMania 34 episode of The Good Bit, joined by Mason with no nickname and Jackboy Chicken Gordo, but chicken noise included, and it's really fun, really funny episode, I think so anyway, and we recorded that about an hour ago, so check that out. On Friday afternoon, that's going to go up, and it's all about WrestleMania. We talked about UFC and whether or not the Conor McGregor stuff is a work or not from that weekend, 223. NXT TakeOver very briefly, Hall of Fame very briefly, Raw very briefly, and a lot about WrestleMania 34, so check that out on Friday on iTunes and all that good stuff. I'll remind you near the time, I suppose. But I still have to do this. This is CM42 TV. This is not the Good Bit, so this is a separate thing. So anything I missed or anything I want to say, I can kind of bring up here. I did have an idea of just like talking for ages and making a whole like hour-long video about WrestleMania, but an issue I have with uploading videos like this, like reviewing WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble or Star Wars, you know, that's another good one. You know, it's something so big, I'm sure I won't do it for Infinity War either. Just because these movies and these wrestling shows and anything of that, you know, that substantial manner, you know, it's like a final or a big deal, a big show or whatever, not Paul White. Everybody just makes a video about it, and that's a good thing because, you know, everyone's got an opinion, and, you know, maybe when you're talking about something, people can agree with you and they'll know what you're talking about. But then again, there's so much, you know, I'm quite a chilled, you know, I'll just watch whoever. I'm not really bothered about, you know, debating with people about things. I'll have my opinions, you have yours, sort of thing. So, you know, if I go onto YouTube and I see that everybody's making a WrestleMania review, who are you going to watch? You know what I mean? You have to kind of pick your favourites. So that's why I always kind of stay away from WrestleMania reviews or Star Wars reviews or whatever. Because there's so much. Speaking of that, by the way, I'll have a Star Wars Last Jedi unboxing within the next few days. It's on the way, and I'm very excited. Very excited to see it again. I saw it twice in the cinema, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. It changes everything, doesn't it, when you watch a film from the cinema to your home comforts and stuff. So, and of course it'll be on Blu-ray and the behind the scenes stuff as well. But anyway, that's coming this week. Check back on CM42 TV for that, and also Twitter at CM42 TV, at the Good Bit Pod for when the podcast is up and stuff. So, I mean, I pretty much talked about as much as I could have on the podcast. It was, you know, it's hard sometimes because these people I do the podcast with are very, you know, opinionated and stuff, and it's sometimes it's hard to sort of get your opinion across, not in a bad way. It's just because there's so many different opinions and so many arguments going on and so many debates going on. It's hard to kind of, this is what I think, you know. It's good sometimes, but, you know, it can be difficult sometimes. So that's coming up Friday if you want to hear a full review of that. Not even a review, we just kind of talked about it and debated over things, and I said I love Roman Reigns and they were telling me why I'm wrong and things like that. It's like sometimes it's nice to have me and my camera and my channel. But overall, WrestleMania was great. You know, it's WrestleMania. No matter how good or bad the matches are or whatever, you know, you're going to enjoy WrestleMania, no doubt. That's the draw. You know what I mean? It's not as if I can't wait to see this match. That comes with it because, you know, it's a wrestling pay-per-view, but still WrestleMania is the draw, so it's always going to be great. No matter where it is or what the theme song is or who's the commentators or what the audience is like, it's always going to be great. So a few things I suppose I didn't really touch on the podcast was kind of just like the smaller things, like the set of WrestleMania. Really cool, different, just loads of colours and you know, you're like, whoa, when you first see it. And it was inside the Superdome. It looked relatively smaller than before, because they were there for WrestleMania 30, and it looked huge. And I mean, it still was big, obviously, it's WrestleMania, but it just looked more along the lines of the Georgia Dome 27 than it did for 30. It just looked bigger 30. I don't know if it was because, you know, there was more people there or whatever, but oh god, I don't know if I want to break down the whole card again because I'm a little bit wrestled out. Yeah, I didn't want to do this on Monday because I thought, well, you know, Raw is going to happen and there's going to be so much happening on Raw, and I was right. Oh my god, Raw was just like boom, 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 with segment after segment, just something happening, which was great. But then, like, next week you get your Superstar Shake-Up, which will be the same, but then the week after that, like, whoa, what was going to happen? It's just going to be back to the same old Raw, which is fine because I love Raw, of course I do, but you know what I mean. it's just a crazy show, so busy. Returns and debuts, No Way Jose, Authors of Pain, Ember Moon, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley. Crazy. So a massive show full of, you know, surprises and returns and farewells. Paige announcing her retirement. We kind of knew it already from social media, but in terms of like officially, you know, announcing it in front of the world and in the ring, that was where it happened. So, you know, thank you, Paige. You know, you've had a rough year. It's been a shame, because she was great. She was such like a buzz when she debuted and stuff, because she was very young and she was from the UK and she was one of those, you know, first NXT call-ups, you know, that was overly, whoa, she's for NXT, you know, and it was like she doesn't get enough credit for starting the whole women's evolution thing. It's always Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte and stuff, but I'm telling you, that first NXT special, like back in the start of the network, like in February or whatever it was, 2014, it was Paige versus Emma, I think it was, and just Emma was another one. She just didn't get enough credit because they were the ones, they had the first great, you know, women's evolution match. You know, there was some good ones before then, but the first one, you're like, whoa, this is actually a thing. And then you're onto that Charlotte and Natalia match at one of the takeovers where Bret Hart and Ric Flair were in their corners, and it was so good. Doesn't get talked about, you know. It's just always overshadowed by the Charlotte and the Sasha Banks stuff and the Bayley stuff, which is rightfully so because they're the best stuff of that whole evolution thing. But anyway, I have no idea where I was going with that. Paige, yeah, so it's a shame for Paige. Obviously so passionate, and it's in her blood and it's in her family, and hopefully she finds something else, or she finds her way back like Daniel Bryan did. Daniel Bryan, what a hero. I made a whole separate Mellow Thoughts video about it, just talking about, you know, how he was my favourite wrestler for years, and then he had to go away, and then he came back, and it was just a big palaver. So thankfully he's back, thankfully he's healthy, and he just put on a great show at WrestleMania. His match was so good. I had everything. As we talked about in the podcast, you know, it had like that wrestling aspect of it. He's facing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which are perfect opponents. They had the emotion, you had the story, you had the, you know, the drama of him doing that dropkick off the top rope and laying there for a bit. Is he okay? Then the kip up. Brilliant stuff. Daniel Bryan is the best. And I'm looking forward. I just hope he doesn't get hurt again. It happened last time, and I almost knew it last time. Like when he won the world title, gave it up and came back, and then won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania in that ladder match, which is amazing as well. Really underrated ladder match. I was just waiting for him to get hurt again. You're just waiting for it. You knew it was going to happen, and then, you know, all of a sudden he did. Gave the title to Ryback, which was a great idea. That was the worst elimination chamber ever, wasn't it? When Daniel Bryan left and he had to give the title to someone, and it was like Ryback won the chamber. That was dreadful. Anyway, so Brock Lesnar re-signs as well. There's something we have to talk about. So here's the deal. Chris Jericho has a podcast. I don't know if you know about that. Talk is Jericho, it's called. And there was an episode where there was a former UFC fighter called Chael Sonnen, who is a huge wrestling fan, great UFC fighter because he just gets it. He's like Conor McGregor and DC and these people who just know what to do. You know, although UFC is real, there's still a work aspect to it to draw money. And you know, Chael was always great at that, promos, you know, and talk people into the building. So he was on Chris Jericho's podcast, and he basically explained the whole Brock Lesnar thing. Like how he was suspended and then retired, which takes him out of his suspension. But if he goes back to UFC and says, I'm not retired anymore, he still has to sit out that suspension, plus the 4 or 5 month delay he has to do from coming back from retirement. So in total, you know, Brock Lesnar has to wait 14 months before he can fight again in the UFC. And it's just like, well, Brock Lesnar's just not the type of guy to sit on his couch at home and not make any money for 14 months. So that kind of got out, and okay, well, Lesnar's not going to, you know, people were starting to say Lesnar might actually win at WrestleMania, because it was pretty certain, like it was 90% sure that Roman was going to win. And I'd love that to happen, because, you know, Roman has never really had that title run. They had that run after WrestleMania 32, and he had those great matches with AJ, and then dropped the title. And I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan, and I just wish they would pull the trigger on it and let him have his time, because he's not had it yet. Like, people are saying, oh, we don't want Roman, he's been shoved down our throats, but he's not won the title properly yet, or he has won the title, but he hasn't had that long run yet, and he hasn't had those classic defences yet, you know. Those matches with AJ were just attractions for AJ, you know, so I'd love to see Roman as the champ again, and if they're going to do it, let's just pull the trigger and just do it, instead of just having folk wait for it and people moan about it. It's, oh no, don't put the title on Roman, duh. And that feeling has been going on for 3 years or whatever. Just do it, and then that's it over with, you know. Do your Roman Reigns experiment for a year and then have him drop the title to Daniel Bryan next to WrestleMania, make everybody happy to the biggest babyface pop in the history of the wrestling business, and problem solved. So there you go. I don't know. What else happened at WrestleMania? Yes, Lesnar staying for a year, and I'm bored of him. I was a big Lesnar fan, just the fact that he brought something special and something big to the company. But since I've got so many big stars now, we don't need it. And you know, I'm a big fan of the workhorses and like people like Roman and Seth Rollins and people like that who are there, you know, 24/7. The Miz, another one. You know, it's just like all the time having great matches. Obviously, a lot of people have great matches, but you know what I mean. Just those total workhorses who are more than likely to get the title. You know, Lesnar doesn't need the title, and you know, I loved Kevin Owens' title run, and then Goldberg took it off him, which was a big deal, but that didn't need the title, you know. But obviously the plan was to have Reigns beat Lesnar, but they've just went, no, let's not do that anymore because people are going to boo. The main event was a disaster of WrestleMania, and it was a shame because it was a really good match, and just, you know, that whole aspect of even being allowed to call it a good match was stripped away from everybody because the crowd was so disinterested. It's not as if the crowd just turned against the match, it was like one of the worst received WrestleMania main events ever, which is really sad. And then Lesnar with the elbows busts open Reigns. You know, it helped Reigns a lot because he looked great with the blood and stuff, and just like, but it didn't matter because the crowd didn't care, and it's a shame. I feel really bad for Roman, I really do. I'm going to make a big video about him, just sort of talking about, you know, my fandom of Roman, and why I like him and why I think he's one of the best and why I think he deserves the title. So I'm going to do that. What else is going on? Ronda Rousey. Wow. Total shock factor. That's a Lesnar thing. Like, he won the title or retained the title. Shock factor. But Ronda Rousey, we didn't really know what to expect. We just thought she was going to be good, and then we thought she was going to be bad, and now we're kind of like, oh, she was actually okay. And, you know, it's Ronda Rousey, so of course she's going to be good. And then we saw her stuff on Raw, and we're like, we're not really convinced yet. She got put through that table by Steph, and then she's just, her selling was the worst thing in the history of all mankind. And then she did a great thing at WrestleMania, great showing. She looked the part, she was quick, her timing was good, she took her time. That's two different things, by the way, taking her time being quick. She sold well, she looked legit, her strikes were good, it just all worked, and I was really happy for her. The match didn't go on too long, however it was the longest match at WrestleMania, and yeah, over the moon. Let's see where she goes from here. You know, who do you put her against? Nia Jax, Asuka, Charlotte, they're all going to be big matches, but there are some people like Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Dana Brooke, who she won't particularly, you know, draw a lot of money with, but could potentially help everyone involved. That'll make them, those sort of undercard women's wrestlers, feel more important. It's not going to be Sasha or Bayley because they've got their own wee thing going on, which is, again, great. And Backlash is coming up soon, so like all the brands are together, Raw and SmackDown are together. So they're going to need as much, you know, star power on those shows as possible, and having people like Ronda on the same card as a Sasha and Bayley match is it's great for women's wrestling, and it's great for the whole women evolution, and good for the show as a whole. So that's good. Really happy with Ronda. AJ and Shinsuke. Shinsuke turned heel. See, when you go to bed after watching WrestleMania and you can't digest everything, that's, you know, a good WrestleMania. That's the job being done right. You're like, oh, jeez, like that was a roller coaster. And, you know, you had your really good matches, like a triple threat for the Intercontinental. You had Charlotte and Asuka in the match of the night. So good. Shocker again. Asuka's streak ending. Don't know if it was the right thing to do. I wasn't particularly angry with it. You know, it was a shocking decision. But, you know, I guess a lot of people were saying that it was going to be Ronda who broke the streak, and it was going to be Asuka won the title and held the title up until next year's WrestleMania. That would have been a great idea, a great story, but they've not done that. Which is no big deal, I suppose. It gets the kind of streak out the road, I suppose. It doesn't make it such a big deal now, Asuka, but again, it kind of takes away from the match a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, so another big shock was with Shinsuke. The heel turn by someone who you didn't expect to be heel. It's like Daniel Bryan, you don't expect him to be heel. The Miz, you don't expect him to be face. Shinsuke, his entrance, oh my goodness. You know, I love the WrestleMania entrances. I go on all the time about who's going to have the best entrances and stuff. Yeah, this year, you know, Taker, obviously, Triple H, and Shinsuke. So, really good. And Finn Balor as well. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously leading to more AJ Shinsuke matches, and you don't see me complaining about that, or anybody complaining about that. You know, the match was good. better than when I watched it live. I was like, oh, it's a bit disappointing. And then I watched it the next day and it was better than I remember it being. Still not amazing, but seeds totally planted. For 2 or 3 more, screamers. Which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to continue seeing him. Can't wait for Shinsuke to win the title. That'll be really weird. I've never seen Shinsuke as a heel. Never New Japan, Indies, anything. And I'm sure he was before, but I've just never seen him as it, I started watching New Japan, the show, the last one that Finn Balor was on, and Shinsuke's always been that charismatic King of Strong style babyface. So, unless he was a heel in New Japan, he was just so charismatic I didn't even notice, So it will be really interesting, and those matches are going to be great. Don't want to say phenomenal because then that's a pun. And lastly, I just want to touch on Undertaker stuff. The rumours about the American Badass returning. I would have loved to have seen it. I've always had a really soft spot for the American Badass because when I started watching wrestling, that's what Undertaker was. So then when Undertaker came back in 2004 as the Dead Man, I was like, what the hell? Obviously I knew from before, but it was a little bit more scary. I was just used to the American Badass. Dead Man Inc. Loved it. It would have been odd to see, and I think this would have been the time to do it because obviously he could have just came out and just been like, I'm here for a fight because it's not really a match. Turned out it was a match. Cena sitting in the front row was hilarious, reacting to stuff as if he's never, like, the camera was on him, he was like, oh, as if he'd never been on TV before, like the fans do when they're being on, shown or whatever. But Taker looking, better than he did last year. He looked a bit broken last year, not the good kind like Matt Hardy. Like he was slow and he looked in pain and he was heavy and he was hardly moving. Whereas this year, he was lean, he looked good, he was running, he looked really good, and I was really happy to see him. Obviously, it was just a spot for WrestleMania, nothing else was going to happen, but it's WrestleMania, they need these big spots, and, it would have been worse if it was a 20-minute match. It would have taken away from it the fact that it was the shock value. Cena getting squashed in 2 minutes is huge. Obviously, I'm not one of those people, I love Cena, I'm not one of those guys like, Cena just buries everybody and he's always on for too long. That's not the case at all, I can't believe Cena got squashed. Not the case at all. It was just nice to see something like that happen. That you're like, whoa, Taker didn't look angry or anything. It was good. So, overall, I loved WrestleMania. The only bad things was the US title match was a bit rubbish. The SmackDown tag titles was totally rushed. However, they put the rocket strap on the Bludgeon Brothers. Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss's match was really, not that good. However, I'm starting to kind of like Nia Jax a little bit. Nothing, I've not been a big fan of her, never really been the biggest fan. I've made that really clear, but I think she's got a good message, and I think she's a good role model for bigger girls around the world and stuff, which is kind of what they're going with, so that's good. Obviously, it doesn't make her wrestling any better that she's got now, a good message, but, she's not the worst anymore. Who is the worst? Mojo Rawley, not a fan of him. I like most wrestlers. I've had that argument with people before. Like, I like most wrestlers, I'll look at it differently now. It's a business now, do you know what I mean? I don't have anybody that I don't like. But anyway, that's a story for another day. I'm just tired of talking about it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've done a podcast, I've done vlogs, and on that note, that's a sign to end the video. Just want to give a special shout out to my boy Nicholas, who finally got called up from NXT, sadly had to relinquish his tag titles, and is now being taken to 205 Live, because I don't even know if he'll make the limit before 205. I think it's like 170. Don't think I'll make that. So Nicholas, happy to see you. Hope you're well, you're looking healthy, and congratulations on winning the titles. And I don't think I've ever laughed so much at wrestling in all my life. So thanks for watching. I know that was long and it was rambling, there was no point to it, but again, I'm trying to hammer in the fact that it's an in-depth review, a proper review, debating WrestleMania 34 this Friday on the Good Bit Podcast. Episode 38 will go live. Check Twitter for updates at the Good Bit Pod. And over the next few days and weeks or whatever, some new videos coming. I'm looking for some new content, trying to find some new things. I've got some ideas, but I'd like some more. If anybody has some ideas, that'd be appreciated. We filmed some gameplay stuff today, which were really good fun. Like really funny and stuff, which is good. Plus, I'm going to be uploading some older videos that are no longer on YouTube, or maybe hidden away inside videos. You'll see what I mean when I upload them. So I've got one ready to go for the next few days, so check that out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. What did you think of WrestleMania? What was your match of the night? What was your biggest shocker? And what you're looking forward to in the new WWE season. The season finale was WrestleMania. Episode 1 of the new season was Raw last night. Let's see what happens on SmackDown tonight. And I think that's all. Subscribe for more. And until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Aye, aye!